I think that great wine tells you everything you need to know about a place, and my favourites come from passionate winemakers who pour their heart and soul into the bottle. I'm on the hunt for weird and wonderful grape varieties that make truly astonishing wines. Almost every wine drinker at some stage in their lives will have tasted a Burgundian Pinot, a Chilean Merlot or an Australian Shiraz. But what about Hungarian Ferment or Romanian Feteashka? Chances are you've never heard of them, let alone tasted them. But New Europe is full of surprises. And perhaps one of the biggest surprises is that these countries have such a rich wine-making heritage. Under communism, many of these ancient traditions were lost, but New Europe is back on the wine map. This final stage of my journey takes me to Romania, which has the 5th largest area under vine in Europe. I'm starting in Bucharest, then heading west to Oltenia and east to Muntenia to finish up at the Black Sea. Romania is on the move. Cash is pouring in from the EU and foreign investors, wineries are being overhauled, and most importantly, so too are the wines. But Romanian wine has had a long way to come, and modern, clean winemaking is pretty new here. I'm in the capital Bucharest to find out why the quality of Romanian wine was affected by communism. Ceausescu, Romania's communist dictator, was a man with grand plans, both in the city and out in the fields. He collectivized all private wineries and introduced targets with the emphasis firmly on quantity, not quality. I'm meeting wine journalist Cezar Ioan to find out how collectivization worked.
The land was taken from the owners and was gathered in huge cooperatives, and all the wines were industrial, the same, and very poor quality normally. A little bit sweet. Doesn't matter if inside it's Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc or anything else.
So if I understand correctly, the people didn't know actually what the wine was. They just decided in an arbitrary way, this is Sauvignon Blanc. Is it really?
Yes. They tasted the wines and said, this might smell like Riesling. We call it Riesling. And we'll ship it to Moscow. They don't know the difference. Most of the time it was no connection between the name of the wine and the grape inside.
Unbelievable. I mean, for a wine person, this is probably the worst nightmare, isn't it?
For a wine lover, for sure, it's the worst nightmare.
So how did land collectivization happen?
By force. It was the collectivization was really by force, with the gun, and people were told, starting from tomorrow, you can work this land, but you cannot harvest it.
This is exactly what happened to the aristocratic Stöbe family, whose vineyards in Dragashani were expropriated by the state in 1949. Stöbe wine disappeared for decades, and the family were driven into exile. But in 2001, Baroness Kripp and her husband reclaimed their land and relaunched Stöbe wines. Baroness and Baron Kripp are a real Romanian success story. They had to fight really hard to get their vineyards back after the fall of communism, and I want to find out more. What's really interesting about your name is that it used to be very powerful in Romania. Was that a problem, having a noble name during communist era?
Romania was actually a big jail. The whole country was a jail. My family homes in the city and outside in the countryside have been taken away. For example, in the vineyards, They replanted it and trying to make lots of wine and not good wine. And that was a problem for the vineyards.
So how did you feel when you came back to Romania?
I was laughing and crying every hour, I think. It was very touching.
And how did the vineyards then come about?
In 2001 we got this vineyard and the farmer winery back. And yeah, then we had some sleepless nights and thinking what we would do with it.
But positive sleepless nights.
It was quite exciting for us to try to re-put the brand Stirbey on the market, not knowing how people after 50 years of communism would react.
Jakob and Ileana had a bottle of Novak, a local grape variety, for us to try. What I love about your wine is that it's extremely light-bodied, so it's very clear in colour, but incredibly complex and dense. And it's full of very dark plums, cherry, and it's very light in tannin, so actually you could serve it quite chilled, and it's very, very refreshing. And it's very lingering, and the perfume, I love it.
Our idea is always to let the grapes develop their own character, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me in your home, and I hope that your winery, goes from strength to strength, and I wish you every success. Heading out of Bucharest to Oprisor, southwest of the capital in the Oltenia region. This is one of Romania's poorest areas, and a trip here feels like a step back in time. One of the region's success stories is the German-owned winery Carl Ray, who've worked really hard to modernize an old state-run winery and re-educate their workforce about privatized business. Winemaker Dragoș Dumitru has been working for Carl Ray since 1998 and makes wines for two markets: off-dry for the Romanians, who have a sweet tooth, and dry wines for export. It's an off-dry wine I'm here to try. Because this winery was abandoned when communism collapsed, Carl Ray had a huge refurb job on their hands when they arrived. Half of the winery has been totally modernized with stainless steel, while the other half still has outdated communist technology. But it wasn't just the technology they had to change. So was it a big culture shock to have a German winery in the village?
Yeah, it was a pretty big shock, not only for the people in the village, but especially for the authorities in Romania, because in the former times, everybody they were used just to come in the cellar and to take for free the wine. It was really big shock for them to say, no, finish, no wine anymore, not for free. This is a commercial operation here now.
So did they literally come in and say, okay, we'd like this, we'd like that, we'd like that, and then you had to say, no, you can't have it?
Yeah, exactly. Not necessarily we want to have this, but we want to have wine. So not the quality was matter, but the quantity.
So you obviously make and market all sorts of wines, dry, off-dry, sweet. Would you say that Romanians actually have a sweet tooth?
The taste of the Romanian consumer is white, half or even sweet wine.
That's one of the reasons why I've chosen this, because, for me, this really represents what you're doing. Is basically you make wine in a very modern way, but this is a red wine with a little bit of sugar,
yeah,
which presumably must be very popular in Romania. So let's try this. You can pour it, okay? Thank you. And on top of it, it's a blend of Shiraz and Cabernet Sauvignon. Yeah. So it's a blend of two very international grape variety, but made in a way for a very local market.
We try to bring relation between the traditional and the modern.
Let's put it to the international test. Well, I mean, for me, that's pretty sweet. What I really like about this is it's a very unusual wine, because you would expect a red wine to be probably pretty dry, if not bone dry. but also it's very opulent, it's very spicy, so you know that's also what I really like about wine. This is contradiction with the tannins on top of it, so it's a real mixture of things happening in your palate.
Yeah, I think, and I like that. I like the structure of this wine.
I also understand that you have a grape variety that I am particularly interested in because the name is very similar to mine, called Isabella in the village.
Isabella, yeah.
Yeah. Could you take me so that we could go and taste them together?
Yeah, it would be very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go. Winemaking happens in everyone's backyard in Romania. We're taking the company car to try some homebrew made with the Isabella grape. Isabella is a hybrid, a cross between an American and a European variety, and they are all over Romania. The EU says they're not fit to be used in commercial winemaking and wants to see the back of them. I want to try some before it's too late. It looks like a washing machine. Do you think? Like a tumbler?
Yeah.
You make Isabella wine.
Yes.
Where shall we try it?
Yeah, we have here some Isabella wine.
This is Isabella wine.
Exactly.
This?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very exciting to have a grape named after one's name. It's fermenting wine, isn't it? Because that's why it's so cloudy.
Yes. And it's pretty sweet.
Isn't it? It's like fruit of the forest.
Yeah, and some
Strawberries.
strawberries.
Yeah, it's very strawberry-like. That's very good. The wine I've just tasted could disappear literally because since Romania has joined the EU, they have got to get rid of all their hybrids, which I think is very radical because who's to decide that this particular grape variety like Isabella can't produce fantastic wines? It's a bit like ripping a wine soul out of the country.